All right. Welcome to this video. Thanks for tuning in, sharing in this now moment. I've got my mosquito spray, this beautiful background. Got a few little bugs. I'm just gonna go into a little flow. So if you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back. If you have, my intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. I have so much I want to share, but I'm just going to kind of go right into a little flow right here. One of the words that's been coming up a lot for me has been reconciliation. And if you guys have seen my videos before, you might know that a lot of the words I use are meant to be used interchangeably and not to be locked into a particular frequency pattern or definition, defining energy. And as I say this reconciliation, I've got this bugs all over me. What comes up is to recon, to go out and look, to look within, and also the celliation. So to really go within and see where our bodies need extra assistance and guidance and help, but also to be an observer and to look around as an observer. And that means, what's that saying of walking? It's like walking in between worlds. You're able to see what's going on outside. You're able to see what's going outside of the system in the other systems. And then because of that ability to look around and to create and balance out differences, we are then able to mesh and mingle ourselves without being completely pulled in to these other bandwidths, to these other realities that are actually in the process of coming to a demise, is what the words that keep coming up are. So that was one message that was coming through, but I'm just going to go into a little light language from here. As you anchor yourself within your body, as you anchor your feet on the land, as you connect skin to skin, feet to sand, feet to grass, you allow yourself to grasp all of the offerings that Mother Earth is choosing to offer up right now. So I'm seeing this a lot of, we're getting a lot of uploads from the earth right now. And what I keep hearing is sink in to sink up. So again, it's setting that intention within to anchor our frequencies in our body and to connect with Gaia, Eartha, Terra, all versions of Earth is what I like to do. For as you access these information bands that are coming in, that are being rejuvenated within your own memory banks, within your own frequency, you will feel certain memories crop up, if you will. Okay, as I say this, I'm seeing crop circles and those holding codes within them, so you can look up the most recent crop circles and kind of get a download from those as well, because they are coming up from the earth. You can actually hold your hand over the picture and set your intention to come into tune with this. A lot of the messages that I've been getting have been about holding our hands open to the sun. And as we hold our hands open to the sun, we help to activate the palms. It's like it gives us this, for those of us that are healers, oftentimes we can feel in our hands, it's like a second sense, right? Or a sixth sense, or whatever you want to label it as. It helps you to feel into your body what you can be feeling and experiencing in the field. For many have fallen off track, so to speak. They have been drawn into the coercion, if you will, the coarseness, others' courses. I'm seeing like the rough and tumble. They've gotten sucked into a lot of the games that are being played out in the Matrix, and it's creating this imbalance. Yet there are those of us who are standing strong within our own inner attunement, our own inner toning, our own inner capabilities, moving from incapable to inner capable. This enhances our capacity to not only reinforce the stability of our own stream, if you will, connection to source, connection to earth, but it also helps us to counterbalance the other streams that are in fluctuation, that are pulling others off of their course, and it allows us to create a discourse, if you will, with our own inner compatibility. We then are able to communicate with all things, all beings, on a crash course, if you will, or seeming crash course of induction. So this is all a play on words. Part of that is about we are able to communicate on a multidimensional level. Some of us feel like, well, I need to take a class on that, or how do I do that? But what the message that's coming through is it's innate. It's already within us. It's part of our ability. And as we harness our ability to be in this multidimensional flow, it allows us to access different, I'm hearing grid points, points of view, all kinds of things. I'm hearing hues, different colors. So these colors, excuse me, all natural bug spray. It doesn't work as well as the toxic stuff, I guess. I'm being invited to play with the word compatibility. So as I say this, I'm seeing that there's a lot of people who are feeling incompatible with themselves. So if we aren't being able to, and if I play with this, it's like incompatibility. I'm hearing swing, batter, batter, swing. It's taking away our ability to see the ball coming at us. It's taking away our ability, or covering up our ability to see. Okay, and I'm being guided to play with that. That means rebirth, by the way. In some of the Native American or so much is coming in right now. In some of the indigenous texts and belief systems, bat represents rebirth. Bats have the ability to use that extrasensory perception. Even though they're blind as a bat, they can still see because they are utilizing their superpower, we could call it. We have this gift as well. This also has to do with, I believe, part of the brain and the bones in the head and the skull. A lot of people might be experiencing headaches right now. And sometimes when we're going through this process of really changing within our own skin suit, it can cause tension on the springs, is what I'm hearing. So it can cause this need to stretch, this need to maybe go get an adjustment, especially on the sphenoid bone. Craniosacral therapy is a really, really powerful tool that we can utilize right now. And I'm seeing that it's not just about, I'm seeing it stepping up to the bat, to be able to hit the ball and to see from with the peripheral vision, not just what's in front of us. It's all around being able to have an idea, being very present, right? So, Tur anatati kur bur astor okur. For as we fine-tune our own adjustments, we recognize that we are oftentimes sitting within a different reality bubble and within a different construct. That seems unclear. Yet, as we clear away the debris and the false structures that have kept us within a confined space, as we take a deep breath in and we come into a greater space of self-awareness, we allow ourselves to reflect inward that spacious creation. So I'm seeing we create then around us this feeling of being able to breathe, being able to offer space for others, hold space, being able to recognize that we have the room to breathe. We just have to take those moments to reassure ourselves that we do, to reassure ourselves that we have the freedom to breathe as a human being. Because there's a lot of constrictions and confinements that are being placed on people at this time out in the outside world, right? And this too shall pass. It is temporary. And so the only thing that we have that is truly permanent, meaning permanently with us during our existence here on earth, of course everything on earth is impermanent, but infinitely is our soul, right? Is our connection to source, our soul spark, our truth about who we really are. That doesn't go away. That's always with us. And so the more we can feel comfortable in our own skin and recognizing that the patterns that we create are a reflection, though will reflect outwardly from here, it will help to change our entire, what I'm hearing is mapping system, network system. We then start to draw to us more people that we might feel the desire to connect with, more experiences that are coming from the truth of our own experience, not what others are telling us we should or should not be experiencing, feeling, looking at, seeing, helping with. We know because we begin to establish our own relationship with ourselves. So what your neighbor is doing may not be your path. It may be a temporary adjustment on your path in which you introduce each other to a particular set of circumstances or people or places or things that help move you forward onto your path. But that doesn't mean you're going to start doing whatever it is that your neighbor is doing. We do that when we aren't sure, when we are lost, when we're not in tune with what it is that we need to be doing. And what I'm being shown in this message, as I have all these pictures coming in, is that there's just a lot of people who've become sidetracked by their neighbors' paths because they haven't taken the time or the opportunities necessarily to hone in on their own, what I'm hearing is vocabulary. What words do I like? What sounds do I like? What makes me feel good? What movements do I like to create? What artwork am I drawn to? I mean, it seems so simple, but right now simplicity is the key because everything out there seems so complicated. And all it takes is 10 minutes to have that aha moment where all of a sudden you realize that you're getting a synchronistic adjustment in your reality that's helping you to then transmute all that debris and transmit a higher octave, a higher sound, a higher cue, meaning I'm hearing like an 8-ball, right, or a cue ball. It helps you to stack things up in such a way that you're able to then feel into any of the adjustments that you need to make on a linear level, on a friendship level, on a physical level. And the reason I'm coming back to all of this is because really what I'm seeing is there's a lot of beings out there who have activated their DNA sequencing sets, meaning they have activated their, trying not to talk too loud, they've activated their extrasensory abilities. And that also can mean They're remembering things. They're starting to recognize that they do have healing in their hands. They're starting to recognize that they can set their intention to go into a particular part of their body, and all of a sudden it feels better. People are starting to recognize that they are meeting other people in dream time. They're starting to recognize the power of the imagination. So I could go on and on and on, because we tend to think that having extrasensory abilities means flying or teleporting or being able to move things with our mind. And while those are true superpowers, I strongly believe we have the capability of doing, that isn't what's important right now. What's important right now is utilizing the ones, the superpowers, so to speak, that are, I have a whole gaggle of skeeters, is utilizing what seems normal. Because this is something that I've been talking about a really long time. People have a tendency to ask me in session, well, where am I going to get my synchronicities? I don't have these synchronicities lining up for me. Yet then by the time we're done talking about certain things that have come into their lives, they then recognize, oh, well, that didn't seem like it was a very big deal. But in actuality, it is about the little things. Because if we're not noticing those little things, when the big things do come, it's difficult then to figure out where they fit in our reality. If that makes sense? So I keep hearing reconciliation. Go back in and reconcile anything that is out of harmony and out of balance with ourselves before we can go out into the world and make this massive change that we want, because ultimately we have to start with us. So getting grounded, taking care of the vessel, that is the conduit, that is the channel, right? That holds the light, that integrates the shadow, that digests everything that is out of balance, and bringing it all into this relationship so that when we move forward, we can not only lead by example, but we can be that embodiment, the walking, talking embodiment of a harmonized and expressive being, right? And not be a walking, talking copycat, as what I'm hearing, of somebody else's programs that we've just been in the habit of participating in and then have adopted as our own. Does that make sense? So I know that this is kind of a layered message, because we could take it into so many different arenas, right? We could say, well, where have I been copying my parents, or even an older version of myself? I found when I went to California recently, certain patterns came up for me amongst my experience with my Corvid friend, which I'm going to do another video about that as well, because I've had a lot of requests for that. But essentially I was recognizing as an observer the patterns that were coming up for me that were easy for me to habitually fall back into. And they were little things, maybe a response to a family member, or maybe a particular attitude that I had about a particular place that I had been when I was younger, that then triggered within me memories of a version of myself in which I wasn't necessarily my most confident at that time, if that makes sense. And that was a beautiful gift for me to be able to observe that, rather than make choices and fall into a habit pattern that then continue to recycle the cycle, if you will, recycle the habit pattern, right? And that's when we get sucked back into that, because we're not being aware, we're not being present. And it really is about our state of being present right now in order to integrate, and not recycle. I keep hearing the words, recapitulate, right? We're bringing it up so that we can get rid of it once and for all. And that's also a play on words. When we're doing it for ourselves, we are doing it for the all, because we are then one with the all, and we then allow ourselves to access this deeper potential. So I'm going to end on this note and bring it back into the extrasensory abilities. They seem so simple. When I am doing a session, or when I am seeking to connect with a particular collective, the intuition is subtle. It isn't necessarily that I'm going to get flashes of giant pictures moving across my screen of my third eye, and I hear these booming voices. Sure, in some cases, especially in dream time, that's what happens for me. But all in all, it's subtle. It's different pictures or ahas that I then have to process through my own filtration system. And if my filtration system is out of whack, is full of debris that I haven't cleared out, or is full of distortions based on my own interpretation and perspectives, then that doesn't allow me to show up in my highest power for another person, or beginning with myself, because then I'm not in my own awareness. I am being pulled into these other programs, and it can happen very easily. So just taking that time to pull ourselves back into our own commitments to us. And once we make that commitment, it changes the entire scope of directional force. I'm hearing, may the force be with you. We become more in flow with the force, and we're not pushing up against it so much. When we're in resistance to that energy, no matter what, we can be getting upgrades and still be resisting them because it doesn't feel normal to us. And that's something else. I'll do that maybe in a different video. But anyways, so just coming back into the state of grace, connecting with nature in any way that you can, and nurturing your own human existence, because it's those human extrasensory abilities that are most needed right now. Not these other ones that are fun, but again, it's about us having compassion for one another. If you can have compassion and hold space for someone else even while you're in it and you have your own things you're going through, that's a gift. I'm gonna get emotional. That's a superpower. It's hard as a human to be able to do that sometimes. But then it becomes easier and easier because of practice, right? Because of that commitment to our own well-being, sense of inner knowingness. And then when we are able to hold that space for us, we can balance it out for our family, our friends, our clients, right? Our conversations we have with coworkers, wherever that may be. So I'm going to end on that note. This wasn't where I was planning on going with this today, but hopefully someone out there found it somewhat helpful. In love and light, guys. Namaste. Thank you.